Hey, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co, and today we're going to have 20 late pledges for you to go through. Actually, 21 late pledges, but 20 sounds like a more round number, and I happen to have 21, and I didn't want to just randomly throw one out just for the sake of getting down to 20, and so today, we have 21 late pledges for you to go through. Usually on today's video, we do a 2-back or not to back, but with crowdfunding heading into the end of the year, the next few weeks are likely not going to be 2-back or not to back. We'll see, we'll take it. We'll take it week by week. We'll see what comes up. If there's enough campaigns for a 2-back or not to back, we'll do it. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and just do this. 21 late pledges for you to go through. I went ahead and selected these over on GameFound. As usual, by the way, disclaimer, of course, that I do work for GameFound. Please take that into account. Usually with the late pledge videos in the past, they used to cover all the platforms. It just gets very hard to actually track everything, and GameFound does have everything available for you to browse, which just makes the whole process a lot easier. I've said many times, as soon as other pledge managers show you all the various campaigns so you can browse them easily, I'll start adding them back in, but otherwise, these are primarily going to be more GameFound campaigns. But with that, if you missed any of these games, this is an opportunity, a reminder that there are 21 of these games that are fairly expensive, totally don't need them. Most of them are totally things you can skip on. If you didn't get it the first time around, I don't know why you need it today. But that said, in case you did want to know the things that are available, I'm going to go through these 21 games. Now, I'm going to be doing more of a light overview of the campaign. This will not be the full dedicated, 2-back or not to back going over the whole campaign. If any of these do capture your interest and you want to know more about the campaign itself, you can go ahead and just search Board Game Co, the name of the campaign, and you'll inevitably find my coverage of the campaign somewhere. Probably somewhere. It's probably, I imagine you can do it. Try it. Pick a campaign today and just go ahead and do Board Game Co, Ivion, Board Game Co, I don't know, Scarface, and you'll probably find something on it. But either way, let's go ahead and dive into it, starting off the bat with Aeon's Trespass Odyssey, second printing, and 12 Sins of Hercules. This over here has a whole lot of stuff that you can go ahead and buy. You can spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on Aeon Trespass, a game that has both gotten incredibly rave reviews and also had a lot of drama around it. Lots of, content creators who've said it's way overly complicated, not a game you should be diving into, and a lot of people who dove into it and said they love it, it's incredible, it's amazing. And so, definitely try to find the opinion that, you think will work, not find the opinion that you think will work for you, but try to find opinions and read into them to see what you need to get out of this, to find if this experience for you or not. But if you're interested in an absolute ton of content, you can still go ahead and late pledge this one over on GameFound. I'm going to not say that because they're all over on GameFound. But Aeon's Trespass Odyssey is an epic campaign, and combining elements of Tainted Grail, Seventh Continent, a Kingdom Death monster, all together bringing you an incredibly intricate experience where you're taking control of these massive titans, facing off against various, everything as you explore the world around you and engage in gigantic combats. This has a ton of gameplay. Hundreds and hundreds of dollars is what you could spend if you want. I mean, look at that. 960 euro for this game over here. That one's out. 960 euro for the all-in pledge over here. There's a whole lot of ways to spend money in this one, but that's going to be Aeon's Trespass Odyssey, an incredibly ambitious game that may be totally right for you and the best thing you ever buy, or it may be something that you probably should have skipped on and not gotten at all. They also have more budget options, so if you want to check those out, you can check out the more budget options. Then we have over here, we have Ascendancy. Ascendancy from One More Turn Games. This was a ultimate 4X worker placement experience that gave you cooperative solo and competitive 4X gameplay. It had incredibly intricate gameplay with worker placement, a shared map, and tons of powers and abilities, tons of upgrading and building out. Kind of give me vibes of Heroes of Landir and see if you've seen that one. That's going to be Ascendancy over here, still available to late pledge, which I'm going to stop saying. I have a habit of getting into this when I do these videos, where I keep saying, and I like this game, and it's a top 10 list. And then you don't need to say that. You don't need to say available to late pledge when they're all available to late pledge. I don't need to say available on GameFound when I said these are all GameFound campaigns. But with that, we have Beast Shattered Isles available on GameFound and available to late pledge. That time it was intentional. The others, hopefully not. Over here, we have Beast Shattered Isles continuing the world of Beast. Beast is going to be a 1 versus many hidden movement game where one player takes on control of the Beast who's wandering around the map while the hunters try to track down the Beast and eventually kill it while the Beast tries to capture its own goals. Tries to accomplish its own goals. The game is scenario driven, where you're going to take control of a bunch of scenarios, and not take control, you're going to be running a bunch of different scenarios, trying to figure out what you need to do in an individual scenario with the unique beast. All the beasts are asymmetric, they have completely different powers and abilities and ways they operate. The player is taking control of hunters, again, completely asymmetric hunters with their own powers and abilities and benefits as far as how they're going to hunt down the beasts, as you draft cards in this hidden movement game. An incredibly good experience that I highly recommend. I think it's absolutely fantastic. That's going to be Beast Shattered Isles over here, and yeah, moving on. We have Coloma New Prospects expansion and reprint. This bringing you back the I believe it's worker placement. Coloma's worker placement, isn't it? I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember how it actually plays. Like, I've played this game multiple times. I played with the expansion. I'm trying to remember the say you're not really worker placement per se. you kind of have that center wheel where you're placing down people into the center wheel to take actions, then you might bust depending on how it goes. Basically, every single round across 3 rounds of play and 5 actions per round, 15 actions, you're going to be placing down, trying to choose your action in a primary center wheel, sort of placing your worker in that spot to be able to take the action associated with that wheel and affect various regions on the board. Coloma's been around for quite some time. This can be from Final Frontier games from Johnny Pat Canton, and over here we have the expansion and reprint over on GameFound, where you have that one's relevant because some of these were on Kickstarter, some of these were on GameFound. All the late pledges are on GameFound, but this one was on GameFound. That time it made sense. Anyways, we have the expansion and reprint, giving you more content for the game, the more deluxification options, not more deluxifications, giving you availability to the deluxifications that you previously had access to in the first campaign or the second market, but you can go ahead and get that now. And then, of course, the new prospects, giving you this whole new bridge mechanic, this whole new hunting down goal, new ways to take advantage of busting in the game. So if, busting was either your jam or just something that happened to you way too often and it shouldn't have, there's more ways to alleviate that or even to intentionally lean into it. If you're the player who's going for busting, you can really mess up other players' plans by trying to go where you think the winning players are always going, which can really mess with everyone in this game. That's going to be Coloma, new prospects, expansion and reprint. And yeah, moving on, we have Creature Caravan. Creature Caravan, I had the opportunity to play this one recently at PAX Unplugged, and I thought it was incredible. I love Creature Caravan. It is almost certainly going to be my favorite game from Red Raven Games. I've played Sleeping Gods. I have not played Distant Skies yet. I actually have that behind me over here. But I've enjoyed a lot of their games, and I find that their games are often incredibly intricate and do a lot, but also are very time-consuming. And Sleeping Gods 2 has the potential to be there. I don't know. I'll have to see how that one goes. But I'll say that Creature Caravans, to me, based on one play, so take away with a hefty grain of salt, but I played this at PAX Unplugged and loved it. I thought it gave you all the experience of Now or Never, but in an hour-long playtime, with lots of cards, lots of tableau building, lots of ways to build out and have a different system every single time. I thought it was fantastic. It was barely on my radar before, like it was loosely, like I wanted to play it at some point, but after having played this one, this is one I'm very much looking forward to. But if you are interested in this one, Creature Caravan's over here. They also have an Islebound revised edition available, as well as a RPG World of Arzium over here. Incredibly ambitious. Ryan and Mallory Lockhart, incredibly accomplished couple who have just done an absolute ton between music, design, the art, the production, every single thing in their games is absolutely insane. But Creature Caravan, highly recommend this one. Having actually played this, I think it's fantastic. And then over here we have DCeased. Where's my mouse? My mouse is jumping around. We have DCeased, a Zombicide game. This one coming to you from Command. This one is the campaign that 2.5 million or whatnot over on Kickstarter. This is going to be continuing the Zombicide, the Marvel zombie system, but within the DCeased universe with some changes to the system. So if you do want a Zombicide game, if you specifically want a DC Zombicide game, if you're not completely overwhelmed with way too much content from, they only have what do they have? They only have the anti-left pledge here? What am I missing here? Your project, your pledge. Am I misunderstanding? I'm trying to figure out why they only have one pledge over here. Do they not have add-ons? Back this project for your original campaign? I am slightly confused as to why they have it structured this way. But anyways, I'm going to kind of ignore that and move on with this. But anyways, DCeased, if you want to go ahead and get on DCeased, the Zombicide game, they have that opportunity to do so over here. So, yeah, if you missed it, and this campaign just ended, which I wonder, is that why they have... Let me check the comments in this one. Let me check the comments. Any comments worth mentioning? No, that's your pledge. Nope. We have comments over here. I'm sorry, I'm just taking a bit of a distracted here. No, it looks like it may not be... I don't know. I don't know why they only have one. What am I missing here? Something? Maybe you have to back that and you get the add-ons? Not $3.90. It'll be available later when the Pledge Manager opens. Okay, cool. So this will all be available when the Pledge Manager opens. That's the issue here. So not yet available to late pledge, I guess, as far as that goes. That's going to be DCeased, a Zombicide game. Then we have Defenders of the Wild from Outlandish Games, designed by Henry Audubon. This is going to be a game where you go ahead and take control of a faction of woodland creatures rising up against the machines because the machines have ruined everything, he says, while talking to a video camera on his computer and streaming to an audience on YouTube with everyone watching it on their phones and devices and tablets. But yes, the machines are ruining everything. It's a whole other conversation about the nature of we love to embrace technology while calling for its evils and destructions. It makes us like a lot of hypocrites. Don't get me wrong, I'm on board with this theme. I think it's a great theme. But we're like, yes, rise up against the oppressive machines and destroy them all. But also, Amazon, if you could exactly predict the things that I need and send me advertisement for them, it is helpful. People don't actually ask for that part, but it is genuinely helpful. But either way, Defenders of the Wild. This is from Henry Audubon. It also comes with the role-playing game as well. And you're basically taking control of a faction, rising up against the machines, playing a modular map. Each faction has its own playstyle. Choose a Defender card. This is a solo or cooperative experience of, taking down and rising up against the machines. And speaking of rising up against the machines, we have a word for our partner of the day, Mint Mobile. Partnered with Mint Mobile on this one. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that I generally enjoy and appreciate Mint Mobile. It's the service that I use, and I use that service before they ever reached out to me to partner with them on these videos. But effectively, I switched to Mint Mobile last year, roughly a year ago. I switched to them specifically with this promotion. They currently have a promotion of buy 3 months free, buy 3 months, get 3 months free, and that's when I started using them last year. And then they reached out, at the beginning of the year and said, hey, we'd love to work with you. And I was like, I already use your service and I already like your service. It'll take you 10 minutes to switch, one of the easiest transfers I've ever done in my life, and you'll have the opportunity to get great service at a much more reasonable price point than what you're likely currently getting now. Oh, and please make sure to use my link in the description down below so that they know I sent you. But with that, moving on to the rest of the campaigns, we have Final Girl Series 3 from Van Ryder. This is going to be Final Girl Series 3, as the name implies. Continuing these series, I don't know if it's the last one or not. Like, I don't know if they haven't officially said this is the last season. I don't believe so, but I mean, they continue to dip into that horror trope with one of their most successful games of all time. First campaign crossing 1 million, second campaign crossing 2 million, third campaign almost crossing 2 million, but not quite. But basically, there's a ton of people out there who are interested in Final Girl. When I talk about all my campaign games and all my best games and all my solo games, the amount of people who just assume Final Girl should be on a list, it's insane. It's like, I'll do like, hey, best solo games of the year, and everyone's like, what about Final Girl? What about Final Girl? What about Final Girl? And I am someone who enjoys Final Girl, but it's not in my best solo games. But it's almost like talking about, campaign games and not mentioning Gloomhaven. It's so intrinsically appreciated and enjoyed in the board game space that I'm the odd one out for not having it in my favorite solo games of all time. But either way, that's going to be Final Girl over here. A ton of opportunity to get into this solo game, and it's a solo game in case you didn't know. You could theoretically play it cooperatively if you're making decisions together, but ultimately, this is a solo experience, and they dove back in with Season 3 with a bunch of new horror tropes to get into. Over here, we have Founders from This Way Games. It's going to be giving you a deductive gameplay in which you're basically trying to puzzle out what other players' goals are while also trying to accomplish your own goal. You don't actually need to figure out other people's goals, but if you can figure out what everyone else is doing, you have a much more likely time of being able to successfully accomplish your goals for yourself between you and your partner, because yes, there's sort of a partner, but you actually win on your own. It all works out. It works out over here. This is going to be from the same creators who brought you Ice, and this is going to be, Founders. It's a more deductive game taking place in the same world. Then we have Hoplomachus over here. Hoplomachus Pandora's Box expansion and base game reprints. And this continues Hoplomachus Victorium, giving you a bunch of new expansions, as well as changes to the original gameplay that people were looking for or asking for, including ways to have the Scion have more of an influence on the gameplay, including a shorter game mode that basically condenses the game mode to like less than half the current game length, while giving you the same experience, the same ultimate, ultimate ending and conclusion and all that. A bunch of more content for your Hoplomachus Victorium game coming to you from Chip Theory Games, and you can go ahead and get that over here. Then we have Ivion. Ivion Season 3 Crossroads from Luminary Games. Ivion's going to be a hero crafting system. You're going to have heroes, you're going to have aspects of those heroes, and you have multiple boxes so you can mix and match however you want, but effectively you're going to be grabbing different heroes, building out your hero, hence the name hero crafting system, and then going at it in a head-to-head experience in Ivion over here. They have a bunch of boxes you can get your hands on. They have a bunch of sets of series of all these things. It's been out for a few times. They've had like a few crowdfunding campaigns now. They have Robin Hood over here. I don't know if they officially say Robin Hood, but they have Robin Hood inspired stuff over here in the most recent campaign, but they have a lot of things over here. They have Fletcher and Poacher and Baron and all these various things, but it's going to be a hero crafting skirmish game with a degree of deck building crafting-ish in this game. That's going to be Ivion over here. Then we have League of Dungeoneers expansion and second print run. This is going to be League of Dungeoneers, an expansion and a second print run, coming to you exactly what the name implies. But League of Dungeoneers, an incredibly highly rated dungeon crawler game that is an incredibly intricate system, very much based on the, not based on, but in that kind of Warhammer Quest vibes. Just a ton of depth, a ton of character creation, a ton of RPG elements. This is going to give you an incredibly intricate dungeon crawling system that has gotten rave reviews from a ton of people. If you're looking for something that's, very in-depth and very old school while also having new elements to it at the same time, that has gotten a ton of positive reviews with just a ton. I keep using the word ton because I don't know if you've seen this box. It's like 35 pounds of like just tremendous. I mean, when you there's some boxes on the table that like you line them up and you don't know which one's heavier, and that's going to be like League of Dungeoneers, Isofarian Guard, and Frosthaven. All those together on the table, they're all. Oath one's not in that category, by the way, because Oath one has like 4 boxes, and if you have 1 box, it's clearly lighter. If you have 4 boxes, it's heavier, but I don't know if that's the same comparison. But yeah, League of Dungeoneers, Isofarian Guard, and Frosthaven, those 3 together, I don't know which one's heavier. I can look it up, I know, but I don't know which one's heavier. Then we have over Peacemakers, Horrors at War from Citadel Design, 104,000 euro raise. Peacemakers, Horrors of War from Citadel, going to be built in the same world as their Lands of Galzir and their other games as well. But in this one, you're basically trying to make people not fight each other. That's the general idea. You're trying to demotivate various sides of battle, trying to prevent them from continuing to engage in combat, and your goal is to kind of walk around and demotivate people, which is great, because I imagine, based on my current life, that I'll be great at that. So, that's Peacemakers, Horrors at War. Then we have over here Planet Unknown Supermoon Expansion and Deluxe Edition reprint. This is, again, what the title says, is an expansion and reprint to Planet Unknown, an incredibly well-rated, popular game that, you know, just kind of, it was out a few years ago on crowdfunding, and then it took a while till it delivered, and it was overdue, it was late, it was like really late, it was obscenely late, but when it did eventually show up, people were very happy with it, myself included. People were like, hey, by the way, this good game that we waited a really long time for, the good news is it's actually a good game, so, I mean, I'm not happy we waited a really long time for it, but at least what we did wait for was something worth waiting. This is a polyomino game with, you know, you can use a standard corporation, your standard planet, or you can use asymmetric corporations, asymmetric planets, you can use variable goals, you can use events. There's a ton of ways to modulate and modify the gameplay experience, but ultimately, this is simultaneous play polyomino base building in space. The simultaneous play part is important because you have this Lazy Susan Rondell, and as you rotate it, basically you're going to have everyone taking the tiles at once. So if you're playing a 2-person game or a 6-person game, there's not going to be a major difference in the gameplay length because of that mostly simultaneous aspect. I always say, when you have more players, you're always as slow as your slowest player. So, you know, if a 2-player game is going to be 45 minutes, a 3-player game might be like 52 minutes. There's going to be some degree of give, but and then of course Table Talk. Table Talk could also be a factor. That's going to be Planet Unknown over here. Very popular, very well rated game, and the expansion and reprint over here. We have Rogue Angels from Sun Tzu Games. Speaking of campaign games, it's going to be a 1 to 4 player campaign game with a, you know, 60 to 120 minutes per mission, but giving you not really Gloomhaven, but I mean, at its very loosest sense, there's going to be some degree of any dungeon crawl is going to be to some extent compared to Gloomhaven, but very different gameplay over here. You're going to be managing your abilities, your items, using those items and abilities while you wander around the base trying to accomplish your goals in a very choose-your-own-adventure style of gameplay. A very non-linear path as you go through this. I've only had the chance to play the very first mission, but I'll say that I very much enjoyed the very first mission, and I'm looking forward to diving into the full game experience. That's going to be Rogue Angels, Legend of Burning Suns over here. Then we have over here, I realize I've substituted the word over here all the time. Mentally, I've stopped saying for in-game found, and I've said over here, because then I can get into my, like, speech tropes while also avoiding the thing I said I tried to avoid. So I'm not really successfully avoiding anything. I'm just dancing around the issue. Scarface 1920, Bloody Business from Red Zed Games. This is the expansion and reprint to Scarface. Scarface, which again launched to arrived to a lot of positive reviews, a lot of coverage. This is going to be a deck building, area control, worker placement. I think those are the 3 words: deck building, area control, worker placement. Game set in, you know, Chicago or the Mafia era, or all that stuff. But you take control of one of a variety of factions, and the new content, the new expansion, adds 2 new factions as well as more gameplay modules to the game. This is an incredibly meaty game experience. If you're looking for something that's going to be tight and in each other's faces and give you tons of powerful jobs to accomplish that give you incredibly rewarding goals. If you like games like Blood Rage, this is very much a game that should be up your alley. It has that approach. Godfather, you know, Corleone's Empire, all of those things. This is going to be Scarface 1920 with expansion and content and expansion and content and big box and all these various things to go ahead and get in the game. We have S.T.A.L.K.E.R, the board game from Awakened Realms, $4.5 million. I'll also note, by the way, obviously, Nemesis Retaliation just ended as well, but that's not yet available to late pledge, or at least it wasn't when I started doing this video, so, that's why it's not here, but I'm sure it'll be in a future late pledge video. Don't worry, there'll be a chance to get that one. But S.T.A.L.K.E.R, the board game from Awakened Realms, $4.5 million raised. S.T.A.L.K.E.R, the board game, basically bringing you, you know, the video game IP over to the board game, over to your tabletop. And for me, this is actually, I think, my favorite. I'm pretty sure this is my favorite Awakened Realms game that's launched this year. We've had Dragon Eclipse, we've had Nemesis Retaliation, and we've had S.T.A.L.K.E.R. And Nemesis Retaliation is good. It's more Nemesis. To me, I'm not as much in the Nemesis world. I enjoy it and I appreciate it, but there are other game systems that I prefer more. Dragon Eclipse I thought was very good and very charming, but I really kind of need to see the final game to know where I end up within it. I do think it's a very good game and a lot of fun. My biggest concern is, will it be the kind of game that I could dive back into it after not playing it for a month, or do you have to play it actively in order to, you know, remember where things were? I always have that concern with campaign games. But then S.T.A.L.K.E.R felt very unique, very interesting. To me, I had a lot of fun playing this game. I don't know if I'm going to play it solo or if I'm going to play it, you know, with other players, but I really enjoyed it. Part of the pitch is that they give you shorter, more accessible campaigns, so a campaign's not going to be, you know, hundreds of hours. They're going to be individual, broken out campaigns of, hey, you're playing a 10-hour campaign now, you're playing a 15-hour campaign now, but you're done now, and now you can go ahead and put it back in the box and play the next campaign some other time. So it gives you kind of isolated, broken up campaigns, so I'm less worried with the ability or necessity to manage the game, while also giving you incredibly, I thought the gameplay was very fun. It was very rewarding. I actually had a chance to demo this both at Level Up Retreat as well as demoing this at Origins, and I enjoyed sitting down and just demoing the game, just showing people, like, you know, watching groups go through the game, go through the starting missions in different ways. Like, it's very much obviously a sandbox experience in terms of the way you can approach that same mission again and again differently. I thought S.T.A.L.K.E.R the board game was really well done, but yeah, that's kind of a, you know, when I played the game, I talk more about the game. It's just natural. But Isofarian Guard, speaking of playing the game, $1.1 million raised. Isofarian Guard second printing from Sky Kingdom Games. Speaking of giant boxes of League of Dungeoneers and Frosthaven, Isofarian Guard definitely has that. This is going to be the 1.5 edition, kind of, I don't know if they officially called it that or not, but it's, you know, returns with new and updated content, explore the world, all those things. More stuff effectively is what is going on here. You have the original base game, for those who missed it, didn't get a chance to get your hands in it, but you also have new content for the game. You know, you have more events, you have more stuff and changes and boss battling things and ways to shortcut some of the grind in the game. They both added more content while improving upon the complaints or nitpicks that people did have about the game, and they had an upgrade pack as well. They rewrote a lot of the content and scripts and all that stuff. They added, you know, they added a lot of things, but I don't remember all the things offhand right now while doing this. But Isofarian Guard, incredibly solid game. This is a 1 or 2 player game. This is not a 3 or 4 player game. It's worth knowing that, diving into it. I mean, I'm sure you could, but I wouldn't recommend it. Like, you'd be controlling. It's a 1 or 2 player game. It's a 1 or 2 player game, but I think it's a fantastic game experience. One of the best in terms of the narrative immersion of any game I've played. I think it has the best of any game I've had from that. But that's going to be the Isofarian Guard. You know, that's what we have over here. Then we have the Last Spell, the board game from Tabula Games. This is again based on the video game, although I never played the video game. I think it's based on the video game, right? I'm pretty sure this is based on a video game. I've never played the video game. I probably should download the video game because I've been playing more video games recently. I probably shouldn't. I probably should stick to board games. I like board games a lot, but I do play some video games. It is fun. Anyways, the Last Spell over here. This is going to be a somewhat tower defense style approach of a game, of having your base completely overwhelmed in the game from Tabula Games. I was very interested in this game. I did not have a chance to play this one, unfortunately, but I just like tower defense in general and the idea of, like, you know, tableau building and base management and all those fun things. And of course, the miniatures are fantastic. So yeah, I was interested in this game. This is going to be the Last Spell from Tabula Games over on GameFound. I just gave up. I said on GameFound. It's fine. The Hunters AD 1492 by Aeon Monstrum. 552,000 euro raise. The Hunters AD 1492 continues the core gameplay that was in the original The Hunters. That, you know, had, I think, 2 Kickstarter campaigns around the game. And the Hunters AD is going to be bringing you in more of a medieval vein while giving you elements of that same gameplay while tweaking the system as well. So if you like that system, there's probably a lot to like here. If you didn't like that system, this still might be a system that you like because they have made a decent amount of changes to the game while maintaining the core bones of the structure and also while making it medieval, which for me is always so much more appealing. Like, I mean, like even S.T.A.L.K.E.R, for example, I wasn't at all interested in the theme of S.T.A.L.K.E.R. I never played the video game, and it's more like futuristic and radiation and all those things. That's my jam. Give me like some, you know, woman with, like, you know, white eyes and a hawk any day over radiation, which I guess could get you woman with white eyes who is a hawk if you really wanted that. But anyways, yeah, I mean, it looks very cool. I'm someone who played the Hunters, and it wasn't for me, but even so, I'm still interested in this one just because it looks that good. I have self-control, so I didn't back it, but in case you don't have self-control, you can go ahead and late pledge it over here. We have Unreliable Wizard from Salt-N-Pepper Games. Salt-N-Pepper Games in general has been on a roll in their games. They brought this one to the table. I believe, Mike Delicio, I believe, reviewed on the Dice Tower. You can check out other coverage on the game already, but this is basically a micro solitaire game going on a bit of a journey through character. Looked very interesting, looked very fun. I debated cutting this one out as far as trying to get it down to 20 games and not 21, but I've heard good things about the game, so I didn't want to. And I'm interested in the game because it's a solo game. It's a little solo puzzle. You can go ahead, and it's a solo puzzle that's been well rated and is available. They're basically bringing it to you, making it more widely available. That's going to be Salt-N-Pepper Games and Unreliable Wizard. And then lastly, we have Vampire the Masquerade, Milan Uprising, 766,000 euro raised. Vampire the Masquerade, bringing you the universe and the world of Vampire the Masquerade, but with the taboo system. So if you're interested in trying the taboo system, or if you already have the taboo system because you backed the Bad Karmas and the Curse of the Zodiac, this is an opportunity to get another game in that system. And keep in mind, by the way, if you already have Bad Karmas and the Curse of the Zodiac, if you already backed that system, then you don't need to get the full set over here. You'd only need to get the game and not the system. If you don't know about it, the taboo system is an opportunity to go ahead. It turns your game into a console, effectively. You have the game that you've had already, but you have a console, so you can lay the game on the table, move things around, and have the app and the console control the game for you, help guide you through rules, help guide you through interactions. So really kind of very much a hybrid game system. But if you have Taboo, then you can have one Taboo and however many games that utilize Taboo, no different than a PC, a PlayStation, a Xbox, all of those types of situations. And so currently there's 2 games. There's Bad Karmas and there's Vampire the Masquerade. I believe they announced a partnership with Hasbro, if I'm not mistaken, so there should be more games coming to the Taboo system at some point in the future, and we'll see. I think they also announced Sword and Sorcery, but I don't know if that will or won't still happen. But that is going to be everything. That is going to be your 21 games that you can late pledge if you so want to. As usual, a reminder that if you skipped on these games until now, you have to ask yourself the usual question: why are you backing these now? What is it about the games that's pulling you in finally here and now when you avoided them until now? That's a good question, because as much as I'm showing you what's out there and what's available, back responsibly and don't get things you don't need, I guess. I guess all board games you don't need, but don't get things you probably shouldn't get. I guess this is a different conversation. In any case, until next time, I am Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I appreciate you being here, and as always, I hope you have a good one. Did you hear about the mathematician who hates negative numbers? She'll stop at nothing to avoid them.